Hey, what's going on? I'm super excited for today. We are on episode 2 of Health is Wealth with Jordan Edwards and Sang Kim. And what we're going to discuss today is about routines and the importance of them and why we have to do them and why they can change us internally and externally. However, first we're going to have Sang tell us a little bit about himself. What drew you to health? Why are you into this field? What's the importance of health?
Jordan, as usual, I'm so excited to be here today. I'm so passionate about health, and you know a little bit about my past. You know, being a overweight, fat, obese Korean kid growing up in a variety store. You know, just like Kim's Convenience on Netflix, right? That was my life. But just a quick, background. Yeah, I'm a former physical and health education teacher in Canada. I'm an ex-collegiate wrestler. I coach wrestling at the national level for about 20 years. I'm a healthcare entrepreneur. I've run 7 marathons, 4 half Ironman triathlons. I'm a biohacker. I'm so into it. And you know, my kids, I've got 2 kids that are right into rock climbing, so they got me into rock climbing, and I'm learning how to manage that. So I've been a student of health ever since I was, I would say, 11 years old.
Incredible. And Sang, if anyone saw the video or heard the audio, they think you're how old? 30? How old are you actually, Sang?
Yeah,
And I
you know
just
what?
say
You know what I
this.
tell my friends? I always start and say that I'm 79 years old, and then I pause. And then they say, "What?" And then I say, "Well, actually, I'm 56."
Yeah, and the best part about Sang is like I was with him a few years ago, and we were at this hotel, and we were going to grab breakfast. And I'm in New Jersey for the first time in a while, and I'm going to go grab the bagel. And Sang goes, "No, we just had an incredible morning playing racquetball. We cannot grab the bagel. It will send you backwards. Do you want to go to bed?" Because Sang viewed food as energy. I was viewing it as taste. And not saying that one's good or bad, but it's just there's a lot of different things and why it's so important to learn about these different routines. So Sang, give us a little perspective on this morning routine because we've heard about it. The best time I had one was back when it was 2020. And the other thing I want everyone to realize is like with a lot of people working from home now, there's obviously
Mhm.
people going in, but that commute time that you usually have, maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's an hour and a half. Take advantage of that. That is to be
Mm.
taken advantage of, whether it's you pick up one of these habits. It's not saying, hey, you got to completely change your new routine, but Sang's going to explain the top morning routines and why that is. Because most of the time it's like, do this. Why? No one has an answer. It's just do this. And
Yeah.
Sang's going to explain the reasoning behind that. So, yeah, just set the
Yeah,
stage.
yeah. Like, let's give some context before we start talking about morning routines and routines in general. So, you know, the human body is, and you know, you think about our bodies react to a 24-hour cycle when the sun rises to when the sun goes down,
Yeah.
and all of our systems react to this thing called the circadian rhythm, right? So, you know, the circadian rhythm, if you look at it, what's the definition of it, right? It really is all of these systems in our body, you know, the mental, physical, emotional, you know, the organ systems, how our cells are being replicated. And every cell has a circadian rhythm. And when you think about it, if that 24-hour clock is off, your body
Yeah.
is off,
Wow.
right? So that means that if your circadian rhythm is off and your cells are dividing, and let's say you've had 2 or 3 weekend benders and you're sleeping not well, well, guess what? your cells aren't doing their jobs at the right time.
Yeah.
So just like a car engine, what happens if the timing is off in the engine? Does it work?
Yeah.
It doesn't work, right?
And I love this part because most of the time we don't think about it. But
Yeah.
the normal routine, most people are working 5 days a week, maybe Monday through Friday, just speaking about the general public. And then Saturday and Sunday, they might let loose or change their habits. And this was me a couple years ago. And it's still me sometimes, but I've toned back the parameters a lot where I usually am going to bed between 9 and 10 a.m., 9 and 10 p.m. And then I'm waking up around like probably 5 to 6 a.m. That's
Yeah.
just usually my ranges. Now, when I get to the weekends, maybe I'll stay up till like 11, 12, 1 the latest, but you
Yeah.
end up getting back on that routine. So like say you stay up till 1 and then you end up waking up the next day at like 9, then the next day you go out again and now you're staying up till 3 in the morning and you wake up at 11. That's going to throw off your entire week. And that's why you think, oh, I don't feel good until Wednesday. Like we're trying
Correct.
to eliminate all of that. And it was really interesting. I was listening to a friend of mine and he was telling me how instead of going out or drinking or anything, he was doing it 1 day a week, which is only Saturday instead of Friday and Saturday. And I started to sit there and I thought about it. If you just go out 52, like think about it, the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, Friday and Saturday are 104 days a year. That's a third of your year. You think, oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. It's 2 7. How is it a third of your year? Because the weekends are 104 days. I guess it's like between a third and a fourth. If you cut out 1 day, now it drops to a sixth. So that's a massive increase. That's an almost 20% increase.
Yes.
And it's just
Yeah.
getting back in control 1 day. And think about what have you got to control all the days? Now you're compounding on compounding on compounding.
Yeah. I love the way you're thinking, Jordan, because it's small changes, right?
Yeah.
So instead of partying 2 nights a week, go to one night. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? I've heard a few different studies, but the circadian rhythm, even if you're off your waking schedule and your bedtime schedule and you do it once, some of the literature is suggesting that it takes 2 weeks before your circadian rhythm gets back to normal. 2 weeks.
Yes.
So maybe you think you're feeling fine, but your body on the inside is messed up. The timing chips, the cells are off, your hormone systems are off, your waste management system is off, your sleep is off, right? Everything gets messed up, right?
Yeah.
So I know it sounds ludicrous, but you function better if you get up at the same time, the best as you can, and go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
And then your body knows what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And ideally, you get up when the sun rises,
Yeah.
right? And this is Dr. Andrew Huberman. Get outside, see the sunlight, and do your breathing exercises,
Yes.
right? And we'll talk about Wim Hof, and then we'll put in links to the
Yeah.
Wim Hof would be one of the breathing strategies that could take you 8 minutes. It's 3 sets of 30 deep breaths, and then you could do a 1 minute hold between sets. But that in itself, the breath work in the morning in that sunlight is a game changer.
Yes.
Really, really is, because now you're oxygenating your body in the morning and reducing your cortisol levels, right? So getting on these routines the best you can. And then, like you say, I love that. On Friday, don't go out too late. Yeah, go out one night a week. If you're a
Yeah.
youngster, you want to get out there, right?
Absolutely. And even like I even have friends nowadays who will go out and they just won't drink. And then when it's their time, they'll usually end up going back to bed at a similar time because they're
Yeah.
not enticed to stay out that long. Now, the other thing that you brought up that was really interesting is the outside in the sunlight. So when I coach people, it's a very simple thing, but it's like, hey, if you go on runs, you'll feel better. And it's not because, hey, running's good. It's because you're getting outside, you're getting that sunlight, and you're doing inherent breathing. It's not the intentional breathing exercises like we're going to dive into, but you see people as they go outside, as they get more air, as they get that experience. That's why in the mornings I try to go on a walk, and it's always the debate for me is, should I work out or should I go on a walk? And it's like, I do like a 45-minute walk in the morning. Like I just do, because it's so
Yeah.
nice, because you see the sun rising and everything's changing and it's bringing it all
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's, you're so aware of what's happening in your surroundings and yourself, Jordan. And I have to commend you on that. I'm sure there's tons of 50-year-olds that don't have your awareness. So good on you, man. Good on you.
well,
So
the thing is that, and I want you to get out of this episode, is that most people are very bogged down by their job or their responsibilities. And I just want this episode, if you guys are listening, to just be a wake up or maybe a reminder or maybe a new perspective of, oh, I
yeah,
could do breathing. It's 8 minutes. I can do that. Or I could walk
yeah,
outside.
yeah,
I have a dog, or I can do this. Like, yes.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It is like 8 minutes. And I would say for anyone listening to this conversation out there when we get this posted, if I could just do one thing, right? What would I do? And you don't have to do a lot, right? And I've been thinking about this over the last couple of weeks, is you can walk, like most of us can walk. And so what I've been doing is that morning walk, I do my 90 deep breaths while I'm walking. I know people probably look at me like it's like freaking I'm crazy, right? But I get my walk in, get the sunlight and my breath work, and it's getting a little chilly now. Like I'm here in London, Ontario, and then I'm getting that cold exposure. So actually, I'm out in shorts now. So now, and I'm getting that little bit of cold exposure, right? So
Wow.
look what's happening. I'm getting my walk, the sunlight, the breath work, and I'm getting the cold exposure. So I'm out there in shorts and like just like basically like a shirt,
Yeah.
and I'm getting 4 of those things in one activity.
And this is why I wanted to bring Sang back and have this as a monthly thing, is because I know it's very confusing and can be hard to do new activities, because it's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. How do you make it as simple as possible? Like, what
Yeah,
is the easiest way? And it's like, okay, if you're going to walk for like the way I used to walk is I have Madison and it's our time to talk. And we
yeah,
might talk about nothing, but it's a good way to connect. So it's how do you get the most valuable time out of the time you have? And so
yeah,
tell us a little bit about this breath work, because I've
yeah,
done a little bit of the Tony Robbins priming. I've
yeah,
heard incredible things about the breath work.
yeah,
I personally, I'm not doing it currently, but I'd love to learn and explain why people should do it.
yeah. Let's look at this from the biggest macro perspective, right? We have trillions of cells in our body. What do they need to work and function optimally? Every cell
Awesome.
in our body needs oxygen, right? That's
Yes.
fundamental to life.
Yeah.
If you have oxygen, now it goes to this whole Krebs cycle, gives the oxygen to ATP and then produces this energy in the mitochondria. This whole thing goes on. But oxygen, how simple is that? And we have these amazing people like Wim Hof, and he's unbelievable. And we'll put the link down, right?
Yeah.
And what I like about
And
Wim Hof is that it's
just
like 8 minutes. And what
just to
he
give a quick thing, saying, just to give a quick, for anyone listening, Wim Hof is this guy. I believe he's in Poland, I want to say. And what he does is he does these breathing. He was very depressed after his wife passed away, and basically what ended up happening was he was finding a way to overcome his pain, and he started doing cold exposure, and he was doing these bizarre things where he would like run a marathon in the desert with no water, or he would go outside and hike a mountain without, like, literally in his underwear. And it's just, he's jumping around doing all these crazy things, and everyone's like, how are you doing this? And then he started showing people how. And it was this bizarre thing because they were like, the benefits of this are insane, but no
Yeah.
one knew, like, yes. So I just want to preface that, who Wim
Yeah,
Hof
yeah,
is
absolutely,
and why.
absolutely. I mean, you can go. I mean, we could spend 5 hours talking about Wim Hof, but here's the executive summary on his fundamental technique. Right, his fundamental technique is inhaling through your nose and exhaling, through your mouth, and it's diaphragmatic breathing. Right, so you got to use the lower part of your gut, right, and not chest breathing. Chest breathing is short, shallow breathing, like what most of us are doing when we're on the computer, right? So it really is getting these deep breaths in. So what he does is 3 sets of 30 breaths, right? So that's 90 altogether. So 30, 30, 30. But after the first 30, you're going to hold your breath for a minute, right? And then you're going to breathe out for another 15 seconds. But there's this 30, 30, 30, and that takes about 8 minutes. And it's on YouTube. So, we can put the link in. And if you're going to do only one thing, you only have time for one thing, 8 minutes of breath work. And we're going to talk about other types of breath work. And Wim Hof is one example. So I'm a curious dude. So I try out lots of different ways to breathe, right, from different experts, right. But Wim Hof is certainly a great place to start for your part of your morning routine, right. And Gary Brecka from 10X Health, he's another fellow that's really pumping the breath work. Well, because you're giving energy to every single cell in the body, and you're waking yourself up, right? And it's really wild, because when you start getting into it, you're going to feel a little bit dizzy, right? And there's a number of reasons for it, but one of the reasons for that is that your brain isn't used to getting all this oxygen, is one thing. So now you're stretching out the ability of your brain and other parts of your body, your cells, to receive the oxygen, because it hasn't happened in a long time, right? So this is a game changer if you got only one thing to do. Right?
And so how long have how have the results been for you? And because think about it, the normal person's probably waking up to an alarm, going, hopping in the shower really quick if they get a shower in, grabbing their coffee and being like, I'm going to try to take on the day. So for you, like, what does this breathing exercise do differently to the body? Because most of us think we need things to wake us up, but we have our own breathing. Like he brought up saying, Gary Brecka has this $5,000 machine that you can use as a breathing tool, and like a mat that you can lie on and do all these other things. But he's like, if I don't have anything, I'm doing this breathing, and the breathing is free. And that's why I wanted you to do this, because I asked Sang, I go, what is the biggest outsized returns? Like, what gives way bigger returns than the amount of effort it takes? And this is, so go.
So and I'll tell you what I've been experimenting with, right? So here's some different examples that the way that you could approach this, right? And what I like to do, just to get you into this habit of breathing. We'll talk about habit creation in a bit, but let's say I get up at 6:30, right? So I'm usually going to go pee first thing, right? And then I'm going to either do my breath work right in my bed, right?
Yeah.
Or sitting in my chair.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna do it on my walk,
Yeah.
right? Or I'm doing my breath work while I'm meditating. So there's some options there,
Yeah.
right? And then you can actually sort of rotate them too, because I like the variety, right? But what I would do is pick one of those, right? So let's say, okay, I'm going to commit to I like going for a walk and doing those deep breaths, because now I'm getting a 2-for-1 deal, it's like 4-for-1 deal, right?
Yeah.
Right? It could be a 30-minute walk, right?
Yeah.
So I like the idea of the walk with the deep breaths, see the sun come up, you wake up, right? And if it's cold and you're into the cold exposure, you can do that too. If you don't want to, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But you're getting the 4. That's a really good way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now let's just go back a step. So you wake up, I go pee, and then I hydrate.
Yeah.
Hydrate first before my breathing.
Okay.
Okay, so I forgot that. So hydration, why do you hydrate before anything? Because overnight you're going to drift 2, 3, some people 5 or 6 pounds of water while
Yeah.
you're sleeping. Because remember, your body is still humming, it's still working and right, metabolizing and doing all this stuff, digesting, it's burning calories. And also because of the heat that it's generating, you're going to lose water, right?
Yes.
So when you have water, don't just drink water, add some sea salt in it.
Okay. Why is that?
Sea salt. So when you have an animal cell, you remember grade 9, grade 10 biology, you got an animal cell, it's like a circle.
Yeah.
And that circle actually has like 2 cell membranes, right?
Yeah.
And for water to get into the cell, you got to have this potassium sodium
Okay.
ratio. We
Oh,
won't get
okay.
into it. I'll just keep it big picture. The potassium sodium ratio has got to be ideal. And then it transports the water into the cell.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So US military, they're out in the desert, the Iraq war, right? They always have salt. So they have to be biohackers. It's life and death.
Yeah.
Right? Some sea salt. So I would recommend sea salt. I'm not too sure about Himalayan salt just because who knows where it's coming from. We don't know if it's true, but Celtic salt is supposed to be really good. And I'm experimenting with that. And I use a Costco sea salt because I trust Costco and their, the way they get suppliers, right? So
Yeah.
the
And
hydration is really important. And then go into the breath work.
yeah. So I just want to add into the hydration because for myself, each morning, it's you go to the gym and you don't realize that when you sleep 6, 7, 8 hours, that's 8 hours of no drinking water.
Yeah.
So like you might feel that inclination of I'm thirsty after if it's really hot in your room or if you had a night out or any of that, but you're dehydrated like 99% of the time in the morning. It's almost impossible to
Yeah.
be hydrated in the morning. So it's key that you get that early water in. And yes, we can add the salt, we can go an extra level, we can do that. But if you just need to grab a glass of water and chug it, that's good too, because you'll feel much better. And the thing is, these are easy ways to feel better. And feelings are super important because most of the time we're just dragging through the day. And when you have that coffee, that's dehydrates you. Like,
Correct.
so it's
Correct.
these little things to get optimized in a healthy, free way to make it simple for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the simplest thing to do is prepare your water before you go to bed and have it on your nightstand, your water bottle.
I
So
love that.
so you just make it a routine, right? And make sure you get that pinch of sea salt. Now, Billy Beck the third, I mean, he's like, now the reason why I mention him is because he gave us a formula that he uses for his clients. And Billy Beck the third, he's this, he's very mild manner, and he is basically the personal trainer for Tony Robbins and a whole bunch of professional athletes. Very low key kind of dude, right? And he's actually, I believe he's trained The Rock for 4 or 5 years, right? That a lot of people don't know, right? And anyhow, he gave me a great formula for hydration that he uses, and it's unbelievable. So the formula is it's roughly about 30% coconut water,
Okay.
70% filtered water, and then a pinch of sea salt. Now,
Wow.
I did the math on the ratio of potassium and sodium, okay? And there is a ratio that's ideal for the water to enter the cell walls. And that mixture is pretty darn close to what's ideal. It's amazing. And so I use, here we go. Costco, I'm promoting Costco organic coconut water, right?
Okay.
And it is, and I would kind of taste a little weird at the beginning, but you want to feel hydrated like nothing else. And notice I didn't say Gatorade or Prime or all these other sports drinks, because they have a lot of sugar. You don't want to have a lot of sugar in the morning at all, because all these sports drinks have way too much sugar, right? You don't want a sugar spike in the morning, because you're going to crash in the morning very fast, right?
Yeah.
And as well, for all the coffee drinkers, you don't want to have caffeine 3 hours from waking. So if you're up at 6:30, your first coffee should be 9:30.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that the coffee will block, right, different parts of the cell, and it's not going to give you the right stimulation that you need, because it's just covering up the fact that you're tired, right?
Yeah.
So actually, it's better to wait 3 hours from waking to have the coffee.
Wow.
Right? So there's all this timing that you want to optimize your body. So you get up, go pee, hydrate, do your breath work on the walk, or during your meditation, you got breath work, or the Wim Hof, or the walk.
Yeah.
You got some good options there, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got, I mean, that's an amazing morning.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I want to bring up is most people are just thinking about the things they have to do. I have to go do this. I have to go do this. I have to go do this. And a good way to think about this is a get to. So it was talking about, how do you make your mornings more fun? How do you make it more exciting? How do you make it a win? Like something me and Madison did 2 days ago was we got in the car and we drove 5 minutes down the road and we walked a different area. It sounds simple, but most people don't do it. And it was like, whoa, this is new scenery. This is cool. This is different. This is exciting. And it's not a big deal. And I say this because to implement your life and to change your life is micro distinctions. It's 2 millimeter moves. It's not, oh, we have to change your whole world. No, it's just, instead of waking up and looking at your phone for an hour, how about we go outside, do some breath work, drink some water, and explore? Like, it's just these little distinctions that help a lot.
Yeah.
And they're helping me too, because I'll be honest, I wake up like 30 to 40 minutes before Madison, and I'm usually on my phone. My phone is my immediate go-to. And that's because I'm always in the on mode, but that causes me to be very jumpy in the morning and throughout the day. And that's why I love having Sang on, because he's adding a new perspective, but I wanted to be honest with myself and the audience about where I'm at currently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And you know what? this is about changing, because change is tough, right? But if you have a mindset, and let's talk about the mindset of these changes, is really that 2 millimeter shift, right? This idea that, hey, if I could improve my health, my mindset, 1% a month, at
Yeah.
the end of the year, 12% can change your freaking life,
Yes.
right? So that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you get up at 7 o'clock and you go, okay, well, maybe I gotta get up at 6:30. So maybe you can't drop it right from 7 o'clock to 6:30, but you dial it back 5 minutes a day until you get to 6:30,
Yeah. And the other
right?
big thing, yeah, and the big thing about that I realized was everyone's like, well, if I wake up earlier, then I have to go to bed earlier. I'm gonna be honest. After 9, I don't know what productive things happen. Very few. Very few. No, because for
Yeah,
me, it was a
yeah,
decision where I'm like, I'd rather trade in the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour, and I would like the 5 to 6 a.m. back. That is
yeah,
the trade I am willing to make. And I say that because I enjoy the morning. I enjoy creating a day, making a
yeah,
good habits and building these and feeling excited about my day and looking forward to it because we've even talked about we're talking about the actions it takes, but how does that carry you throughout the day? How does that keep you motivated throughout the day? How does
yeah,
that change your headspace?
yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, this is a great discussion, right? And we're not talking about doing a ton of stuff right now, right? We're talking about the basics. You get the basics down, you got 80% of this, right? This Pareto principle. Let's focus on the basics and get this body and our mind, our soul optimized to a high level, like 80% is
Yeah.
pretty damn good, right? Because most people in North America in the world, right, are operating at 20%, right? Right?
Absolutely.
93% of Americans have a dysfunctional metabolic issue, right? The way they consume and use energy does not work well, right?
Yes.
Type 2 diabetes is rampant.
Yeah.
And all of this matters. It all starts from when you get up and when you go to bed,
Yeah.
right? Let's work on that, right? Let's work on getting a regular bedtime and a regular wake up time, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe we should have backed up and said, okay, here's the basics, here's the structure, right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's do that first. Here's when I'm going to wake up, here's when I'm going to go to bed, and then when we talk about routines, what you do in the evening affects your morning. So
Yeah.
it's like it's not separate. You know what I mean? It's actually continuous, right? So let's
Yeah.
just call it a routine, right? What happens in the morning, what happens in the evening, but what you
Yeah.
do in the evening affects what happens in the morning, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about the evening routine. And the best one I've heard is 3-2-1.
Yeah.
Simple to remember, right? 3 hours before bedtime. So let's say, Jordan, you're going to bed at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
You are done eating by 7 p.m.
Yes.
No snacks, nothing else. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. Because if you eat close to your bedtime, you're going to affect your sleep dramatically
Yeah.
because you're trying to fall asleep. Let's say you ate something at 9:30 and you're going to bed at 10. Well, guess what? Your body is now working overtime digesting your food,
Yeah.
and it's not focused on sleep. It's working now. It's on working mode,
Yeah.
right? So 3 hours before, no food. 2 hours before, do the best you can to get off the screens,
Yeah.
right? And because that wires your brain, and your brain's like working, right?
Yeah.
Consuming all this data and the stimuli, right? And you can wear blue blocking glasses, blue blockers, right, to help with the screens. And then absolutely 1 hour before, you got to turn your brain off, and you shouldn't be working. right?
Yeah.
You got to turn off your brain.
Yeah.
So no more emails. Like by 9 o'clock, let's get into the Zen mode. And your brain, we want it to chill out,
Yeah.
right? And for a lot of us, that's a great time to maybe, do some meditation, right?
Yeah.
And it could be like 8 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. And prepare yourself for bed,
Yeah.
right? Prepare yourself for bed. And you think about it. Let's go back to when you were a kid. What would your mom do? Give you a warm bath,
Yes.
read you a book, dim the lights. Now it's time for bed, Jordan. Tuck you in, right? Boom. We need to go back to mom's routines, grandma's routines on 4-year-old, 8-year-old Jordan.
Yes.
That slows things down.
Yeah.
And then your probability of a good sleep goes up. I'm not saying it's perfect, right? There's
Yeah.
always stuff going on, but all we want to do is increase the probability of a good sleep.
Yes. And I think the part you brought up, which I was going to mention actually, is like in the night, you should be taking a warm shower. It relaxes you. In the morning, you should take a cold shower. It wakes you up. And these two things were very eye-opening to me because I'm like, oh, do you always take a cold shower? Or a cold shower is the only way to do it? Well, if you take a cold one at nighttime, you might you
Yeah.
might be a
Yeah.
little off and a
Yeah.
little, but like understanding these little things are big distinctions. And the other big thing I'd recommend is, and I think I said this in the first one, but some sort of fitness tracker, because sayings like, oh, a good sleep, who gauges a good sleep? Like, you know what I mean? We have so many things to track, but if you wear a fitness tracker, whether it's a Whoop, a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, and anything, they tell you your sleep score every single night. So you know at least that you're tracking something, and that can help you learn about the direction that you want to trend in.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point on the sleep tracking, and great point on the showers. So let's dig a little bit deeper on the physiological changes of those two types of showers,
Yeah.
the warm and hot and the cold, right? So why the warm shower in the evening? All right. So this is the science behind it, is that we have a warm shower, not only it relaxes you, okay, then you dry off, and then you're still a little damp, right? So the warm shower, the water is evaporating from your skin, taking
Yeah.
heat away from your skin and cooling your body down. Okay.
Okay.
That's an important distinction. So you got hot water on your skin, it's evaporating, pulling heat away from the body, cooling your body down. And in order to fall asleep quickly, you want to be on the cool side to fall asleep quickly, right?
Yes.
So you want to have a cool room,
Yeah.
somewhere, 63 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit is
Yeah.
ideal. All the sleep experts talk about that range. It has to be cool. Now, your significant other might want it to be a little bit warmer,
Yeah.
right? But it has to be cool for maximum sleep. So you're going to have to figure out how to keep her warmer. Like maybe she's got an extra blanket, and then you might have to get a cooling pad. So there's all these different technologies to get your body cool, right?
Yeah.
So the warm shower cools your body down, and your body needs to be cool to fall asleep physiologically. On the other end, the cold showers in the morning, that's important, because you think about it, the body reacts and wants to get you warmer, so it stimulates the warmth, so you become warmer after a cold shower,
Yeah.
right? And the other thing I love about cold showers, and I've been doing cold showers regularly, Jordan,
Yeah.
is I know from taking my genetic tests that I have a dysfunctional dopamine gene, which is really, I mean, it's attributed to a lot of people that have challenges with focus, right?
Yeah.
ADHD and focus, but pretty much most people that have challenges with ADHD have a dysfunctional dopamine gene, right?
Yes.
So let's go back to the cold showers. Actually increase your dopamine for up to like 3 hours. So
Wow.
the dopamine goes up for 3 hours, and then as a result, your head is clear, you're more awake, you're more alive, and it's not a quick fix like
Yeah.
caffeine. It's slow, and my mornings are super productive.
Yeah.
So if you're an entrepreneur, you want to get everything, all the most important stuff done before like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you can almost chill out the rest of the day
Yeah.
if you can create this focused time of where you need to do the most important activities.
Yeah, where you're taking the actions that you want to do and you need to do.
Yeah.
That's why it's tough when you have meetings in the morning or any of that. Like, it can be productive and it can be helpful, but if you are able to focus yourself and show up and be like, I'm ready to go, that's super beneficial too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, these are things that everyone can use, right? Not
Yeah.
everybody has a cold plunge, right? But
Yeah.
you know, the cold shower, actually, I find it's harder than a cold plunge. So Neil and I were in Lake Ontario last spring. It was 35 degrees Fahrenheit, right? The first minute was like freaking cold, cold, cold. But after
Yeah.
the first minute, I could stay in there for 3 minutes, no problem,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Right, no problem. Now, really, 3 to 6 minutes is where a lot of the scientists have focused their time, and you're getting really good benefits. 3 to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't need to go too far longer than that. But
Yeah.
the cold shower, you've got like millions of droplets of water hitting you.
Yeah.
So it's a different experience. It's actually harder because you're getting beat down by millions of drops of water hitting you, instead of being in this cold, and you sort of like, you know, it's actually more comforting in a plunge. The plunge is easier. Is what I'm saying. For me, anyways, for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. So the things that I wanted to discuss and we discussed today are all free items. They're free things. They're free actions. It's the breathing. It's the water intake in the morning. It's the type of shower you take. And it's not, you have to change your whole life, but it's these little things. So Sang, I know there's one more thing that you wanted to discuss about regarding social medias, emails. When do you think about approaching that in the morning? Like when you go about it, because sometimes we use our phone as an alarm clock. Is that wrong? Like
Yeah.
it can be very challenging. How do you think about all this? Like I have, like for me, for example, I know it's on me because I have my phone and I have sleep mode, quote unquote, from 10 to 7 a.m. Now,
Yeah.
does it mean that I can click on the app and open it? Yes. But it means that I have an awareness. So it's not me waking up to everything that I'm approaching that day.
Yeah. I love what you said there. You know, the sleep mode is important, right? And you know, and it's everything is in context, right? So it depends on you as a person. So if you're the kind of person that is having a lot of difficulty looking at your phone, right? You got to put it somewhere else, put it in
Yeah.
the kitchen, so it's harder to grab it. So
Yeah.
there's friction involved to getting
Yes.
your phone. So if you don't have the discipline right now, I would say get it out of your bedroom and then use an old digital clock or a clock with batteries with hands in it. And you
Yeah.
youngsters probably don't even know what those are, right? Like you've never seen them before.
But the thing I love that you just brought up, and you don't even think about it, but we're talking about how to remove friction.
Yeah.
With our daily habits already, we remove friction. Like leaving our phone next to it makes it easy and accessible. Going to the gym in the morning is easier when you're wearing gym clothes to bed. Like these are all little things that are like that friction reduced. So it's what habits are you doing today? Like, do you not know where your clothes are? Like, if your clothes are everywhere, then you're gonna have an issue. If you don't know where your gym shirt is, you're not gonna. If you don't have running shoes, we're gonna have an issue. Like, these are
Yeah.
little things, but that's talk about that actually, because we got 10 minutes left, and I'd love to discuss habit
Yeah.
building because
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
just
You know what?
one thing at a time, but this is like maybe the most important part.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I love what you said. Like, if I want to ensure that I'm going to go to yoga, right? Like I love doing lots of different things, right?
Yeah,
So the night before, I have all my yoga gear out on the bed, right?
yeah,
Or a side table. It's all ready.
yeah,
So, and let's say you do yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning, right?
yeah,
So I'm up at 5 and
yeah.
I'm half asleep. You know, there's a moment where I don't want to go to yoga. There's that moment, right? So what I say to myself is saying any freaking guy, any jamoki, it's an old term. I don't even know what that means, but any jamoki can go to yoga for 4 minutes, right? So that stops the friction right there. And my brain goes, I don't want to go to yoga. I don't want to go to yoga. 4 minute yoga, 4 minute rule. And then I get up. Oh, hey, my shorts are there. That's easy. I just put my shorts
Yeah.
on. I get my shirt and my shoes are right there. And then on my pathway to the front door is my bag. It has everything in it. My
Yes.
water bottle, my towel, and my yoga mat is on top. And I have my keys. I could do this in my sleep. My keys and my wallet in the same place. And I can just pick them up on the way there. And then my bag is there. Then I go to my car. You see how there's less friction? Like my pathway to my car is all set up. So I don't have to
And
think about it. It's a process.
and this is developed the night before. So when
Yes.
we think about new habits and new ideas, when you wake up in the morning, it's not like, oh, it's 5:30 in the morning. Yoga would be fantastic today. No, it's like the night before. You're like, I'm going to yoga. I already signed up for the class. There's a $10 cancel fee. Yeah, you're just doing whatever it is. But it's these plans are made the night before. And if you want to be like, I'm a spontaneous person, that's fine. But with intentionality, you're going to get a lot more done in the morning.
Yeah. I really believe you set up your life so it's not hard. It's not
Yeah.
challenging. It's easy to be successful because
Yeah.
you set yourself up for success.
Yes.
High performers have systems and processes for everything in their life, right?
Yes.
And then they can just do it over and over and over again effortlessly.
Yes.
So
Like for example, just so everyone knows, this podcast, us recording this, Sang is the one bringing the knowledge. I'm the one who adds a little of my input and host, but I'm the one who's bringing the recording of the podcast, cutting up the clips, putting it out because I'm so used to doing that. I do it with all my podcasts every single week. Saying that's not his area. So his area is, hey, I've been in health for 45 years. Jordan, I know a thing or two. I can help the audience, which is why I bring him on because I'm like, doesn't matter to me. I just love getting the new information and it's a wake up call for me. So I want you guys to know that I'm doing this so I can learn because
yeah,
Sang's bringing a lot of valuable insight.
yeah, yeah. And we talked about creating less friction, right? Even from that 4 minute rule, I still use it today. and and it's when your brain goes, can you swear on this show?
Yeah, do your thing.
Yeah. When your brain goes, oh, I don't fucking want to work out. Right. And then the other side of me says, saying it's only 4 minutes. Any fucking jamoki can do 4 minutes. Right. So there's this battle in your head, right? 4 minutes in my brain is easy. So I trick my brain It's an
Yes.
easy rule that I created. It's not a hard rule. It's an easy rule. And then I get through the friction of this negative brain, right? I never want to get up early, right? Never do I jump up and say, I want to get up at 5 o'clock. But
Yeah.
I know the process. I know how this game works,
Yeah.
right? So you gamify it, right?
And
So what if you said every time you don't want to work out and you say, okay, you know what? I don't feel like working out, but you know what? 4 minutes. I'm going to go for a walk for 4 fucking minutes, right?
yeah.
Guess what? You go out for 4 minutes, you feel better. Oh, I can do another 4 minutes. And then another 4 minutes, all of a sudden you're at 45 minutes,
Yes.
right? So we all can do that, whatever that
Yes.
number is. I just chose 4, it's even, right? But more importantly, I believe in the 4 minutes.
Yes.
I believe it because it works. I've attached meaning to the 4 minutes to say that's my rule. So create your easy rule to overcome that
And
monkey brain that's
and the other
stopping
thing
you
I,
from doing
yeah,
shit.
the other thing I would add is it's not even it's a rule, but it's more of a question you ask yourself. Like another one could be, do winners not have a hard life? Do winners have an easy life? And it's like, if you want to be a winner, winners have to do hard things. So like, I'm going to do the hard thing. And it's these little questions that you ask
Yeah,
yourself because you know what you want to do. And in the morning, we're so malleable. Like we can change our headspace and we can change everything. And that's why most people, if you get in the routine of doing these activities day in, day out, and you're feeling better, you're gonna want to do it more. Like it's just inherent. We always do that. And it's always the
yeah,
cadence. I saw that to be true when I did
yeah,
75 hard. Yeah, we always have that experience.
yeah. And if you take your hormone tests, right? So there's some great hormone tests, and this has to do with the morning routines, and we're going to relate it back physiologically. So physiologically, cortisol or the stress hormone
Yes.
rises in the morning.
Yes.
Okay, so there's this hormone test called the Dutch test, right?
Okay.
And then you've got to take it, in the morning, and it's a urine test, morning, noon, and
Yeah.
afternoon, and evening, right? And then you can see the hormone. So when you start testing and doing assessments on yourself, you go, oh my gosh, stress levels are high in the morning,
Yes.
right? Because that's a physiological change that occurred to back when we were evolving as human beings, that we had to wake up, or when the sun rose, us cavemen, we had to wake up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we were going to get eaten by the saber-tooth tiger. So evolution was saying, we got to put stress up so you wake up.
Wow.
Melatonin drops when the sun hits your skin.
Yeah.
Cortisol goes up, and you better freaking wake up, or otherwise you get eaten.
Yeah.
So we know that. So we have to manage our stress in the morning. And back to the social media. Social media causes more stress. Looking at your emails in the morning causes more stress. Well, your stress is high physiologically. Why are you stressing yourself out even more? You're going boop, 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 like this, right? Now it's not
And
low
yeah,
stress. You've multiplied it.
and the biggest thing about that is, and we have a few more minutes left, but the biggest thing about that is that it's external stress. So you wake up, you're internal, you are with whoever you are with. But when you enter that phone, when you enter that email, when you enter that social media platform, you have to remember that it's external. It's other people deciding things for you, meaning
Absolutely.
that they are maybe having requests, they're having questions, they're having stuff, but that is all external. And you have
Yeah.
to make sure that your internal is ready to take on the day.
Yeah. And that's well said, Jordan. Well said. And if you look at it and you say, okay, if I get up at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, what's sort of like a good rule of thumb? Absolutely do not look at your phone in the first hour of waking up, for
Yeah.
sure, right? Like waiting an hour would be really tough,
Yeah.
but necessary. Get your body awake, do these morning routines that fuel you, that we talked about,
Yeah.
right? The hydration, right? Meditation, breath work, right? Going for that
Yeah.
walk. Some people like I like working out in the mornings too, right? So
Yeah.
that's why you got to get up earlier because you got to do all this stuff, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And then you feel amazing, right? And then you get a better chance of being in a beautiful state.
Yes.
And why are we talking about beautiful state? Because really, I was at a meditation session with Sri Preet Haji, and she's like a world leader in transforming 80,000 human beings into enlightenment, right? She's from
Oh, wow.
India. And it's just unbelievable, right? She just like, we'll put that link into her
Yeah.
meditations as well. It's just phenomenal, right? And she reminded me at her session, it was in Toronto on the weekend, that you either live in a beautiful state or a stress state, right?
Yeah.
So you choose, right? And if you're always in a stressful state, your cortisol levels are high, your stress is high, and that stress is causing inflammation in your body. And whatever's happening in your body, your joints, your skin, all the itis, inflammatory responses, colitis, all of these inflammatory things happening in the body get accelerated.
Yes.
Living in a beautiful state, you're not creating more stress in your body. And that's aging you, that's causing cancer, that's causing more inflammation, arthritis, a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it really is all about, focusing in on, what's great in your life, and being grateful and being focused on um, all these beautiful emotions.
Yes. And all the abundance that we have. And I think that that's a great way to conclude this is we've talked about the habits, we've talked about the free exercises, we've talked about the things, but something for myself that's always helped me is that we can't be angry and grateful at the same time. So it's choosing gratitude. There's a lot of stress in the world, there's a lot of scary things. And it's just if we can choose gratitude, it will help us be in that beautiful state that Sang just mentioned, and it will really take us to the next level. So, Sang, I'm so pumped for episode 3. It's going to be coming very soon. Tell us, is there any last things that you want to leave the audience with? This has been incredible.
Yeah, the quick summary would be: wake up, go pee, hydrate, and and the breath work, right?
Yes.
And there's different ways you can do the breath work, but we'll keep it at the breath work, right? And let's leave it at that. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do, but let's
Yes.
start small, right? Start small. Create a 4-minute rule to get
Yes.
over your monkey brain, right? Use a calendar that you can see and write down every day that you do that new task, because if you can
Yes.
see it, it helps, right?
Yes.
And I got a 21-day rule. From anything I want to create a habit, I know I do it 21 days in a row.
Yeah.
It's a habit. It's in me, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then, and think about 1% improvement a month.
Yeah.
That's powerful. It's not too big. 2 millimeter shifts, right?
Yeah.
Right. And be grateful to be alive. Be grateful for your partner,
Yes.
and focus on what's great right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sang, thank you. This is incredible.
Namaste, brother.
Namaste.